All right, to kick this off, I want to talk about really three things. I'm going to give you a little sense of WoodWorks, what WoodWorks is about, what we're doing, and then really hone in on what we're seeing within the mass timber movement and what we're seeing as we are helping people with projects. And then the third topic, really talk about why this conference and why now? Why are we here? What's this momentum look like? And how do we move forward based on what happens the next couple days? So those are the three things I'm going to talk about. Starting off with WoodWorks. WoodWorks really, we are focused on growing and expanding the use of all wood products, not just mass timber, all wood products. We're very focused on segments where wood is not traditionally used. So specifically in commercial buildings, non-residential buildings. We also help out quite a bit with multifamily, mid-rise, and as there's 501 structures going on all over the country, a lot of questions for architects and engineers. So we're very focused on those markets. As we do that, and we're helping people build wood buildings and be successful with wood buildings, as we're helping them, we do a ton of education. I'll show you some of the numbers about the different events that we're putting on, but basically it's one a day. Somewhere in the U.S., something is happening about wood, and we're educating people. As we do that, we end up with kind of the opposite of this crowd. Mostly it's a non-wood crowd, half and half, wood users, non-wood users. So as we're talking to those people, what differentiates WoodWorks within the industry is we're really talking to the non-converted, if you will. And they're not necessarily sure about wood, and we're trying to relieve any skepticism that they have. So I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a non-wood user, which again is about half of our general audience. So if you think of yourself as a non-wood user, which I know most of you are wood users today, there's kind of the spectrum of support that the industry has. There's associations, and WoodWorks is a little different than most associations in that we're helping with projects, but the associations serve a great purpose focused on building the opportunity for wood for their particular entity. And then the other end of the spectrum, you have, of course, all the manufacturers and distribution channels to get the wood from the mills and the forest all the way through the supply chain. Very focused on what's it going to cost, how are they going to spec it, what are the details of that particular building. And then within the wood industry, and pretty much any industry, but if specifically to wood, then there's a whole host of other items that all have websites, all have resources, all have ways to put together an entire building. And what WoodWorks does is we try to help the non-wood user find these resources. We connect the dots on these. We do education on specific problems they may be having, and then we also get the point of this is to help them on their individual buildings. We get in there, we talk to architects and engineers about what their problems they're having, and provide that free technical support. So we're connecting the dots really around. There's a list of items there that we're predominantly helping with to get those wood users or non-wood users over to be wood users and also have successful projects. So really, we don't represent any particular item in here or any particular product. We just represent the idea of wood and helping them be successful. So that's what WoodWorks does. And as we're doing that, certainly the tall wood movement and mass timber is continuing to grow throughout the world. I know lots of the speakers will be talking about some of these major projects that are going on. But what is WoodWorks seeing? So far, since this is just numbers since 2014, we're helping with 40 projects that are over 6 stories, and that includes 15 projects over 8 stories. So there's a lot going on that isn't necessarily on the news and public, because we work very confidentially with architects and engineers. But there's a lot more on the books. There's a lot more coming, and this continues to build. Now, these 40 projects of tall wood don't really represent everything that we do. Last year, we touched and we assisted on 220 projects that went to construction, another 488 projects that are in the pipeline approaching construction. So we are very involved with lots of projects, not just the tall wood ones and mass timber projects. And we get to those projects, again, by providing technical support, or education and technical support. We've basically, last year's, you can see all the little details of it there, but really it rolls up to about 43,000 hours of education that we provided across our many events, again, basically one a day. So we have projects, we have education events that then turn into projects, within that education, this slide too, I forgot. So the other piece of this is that it is a range of the different commercial building types. You can see on the pie chart on the left, the different types of structures that we're working on. And then there are a lot of multifamily structures. Certainly that density that is occurring, as that occurs, we're really very focused on helping those be successful to make sure that they're built right, so that as we grow up, we can continue to go higher and higher. And as well as that, the other piece of this is that we're not only working on large buildings. There's a fair amount of 1 and 2 and 3 story buildings that are very doable by code, made out of wood. Just people don't, it's like they forgot, like with mass timber, they kind of forgot that it's available. And generally don't use wood for some of these structures, retail structures, low-rise structures, small office buildings, which, maybe not downtown Portland, but in the rest of America, in more densely populated areas, that's what the market is smaller structures. So we help on a range of those, not only the tall wood ones. Additionally, when you look at kind of the education hours, I showed you kind of the general for the year, but mass timber education is very popular. So through our WoodWorks events, we've had about 200 events in the last 2 years that have had some sort of aspect of mass timber CLT education. And then another 56 speaking events where we've talked about it at green builds and AIAs, and it really does draw an audience in to learn more about wood. It's kind of a little bit of a carrot to get them excited about wood. Here's some possibilities. Now let's build everything else you're building out of wood. But also, we are converting people over that see the light and say, well, this is easy. I can do this. I understand all the benefits of wood saving money, environmental impacts, the overall just benefits of cycle time and the lightness of structures. And we're seeing that all the time be why people are not only building with wood, but building with mass timber. So, of course, I just wanted to highlight the team here. Ethan was on one of the buses yesterday. I don't know where Ethan is today. There's Ethan's over here. He's the Northwest Regional Director. We've got Ethan's all over the country in various metros. You can see where they're all located here. This is the field team that's helping out with these with projects and providing education in the market. The rest of the team is here by my solutions team. We've got Lisa Podesto and Scott Brenneman that are in the room. They assist not only on the help desk, but also pull together content like this event and all of our other slides and presentations and things. And they're really the technical core of WoodWorks. So I hope you can meet all three of those folks at our booth. Jennifer Cover is not here yet, our executive director. She will be here and in the booth as well. And then we, of course, have a stellar back-end office team that helps out with all of the logistics of putting together an event a day and all of the things it entails to e-blast thousands of people on a regular basis. So a great team at WoodWorks. So moving forward, really what it looks like is that, similar to last year, this next year we'll have a series of events, basically one a day. Just under 40,000 hours of education is what we estimate. The detail, we have a handout in the booth if you want to come by, or on our website, of course, to sign up to get to more about your events in your area. The things I do want to highlight is just a month from now, we have a Wood Solution Fair here in Portland on the 26th of April. That Wood Solution Fair is, basically 15 speakers that you're going to pick from a base that go through various education topics on wood. You can have CU credits for that wood. You're going to pick 6 different topics throughout the day. So it's quite an event, and there is a mass timber track at that event as well if you want further detail on kind of the A&E solution side of things that may not be covered here. So it's also free. So we have those also around the country. You can see the dates there on the website. So those are our big fairs for this year. Okay, I'm going to wrap up with this. When we first started putting this together and the conference, and we looked at what are we going to do, what are we about, and the committee met, we had lots of talks to get to this kind of theme, and it's been on it's on some of the handouts, some of the website material. But really what we were focused on was how do we deal with projects happening today. I really didn't want this to be a what could it be in 5 years thing. It was like, what could we do to help out immediately? So why did we kind of in there? So from my perspective, as in my background in new product development, implementation of technology, and a product manager, this is kind of the view that I have. So I want to just kind of leave you with this. And you look in product management, you look across the product line, you look at sales over time. The typical curve of this product diffusion curve looks like this. Things start, they grow, they mature, and they decline. It's very, very typical way that a new product, and especially a new technology or a disruptive technology like mass timber follows. I kind of like the one that shows cumulative, so up to 100% of what that market penetration will be, because it just kind of keeps going. But there is a top to this. And if you think of sales over time of any modern introduced wood product, they follow this curve. OSB follows this curve. LVL follows this curve. I-joist follow this curve. Pretty much glulam, and any of the new products that have been introduced in the wood industry follow this. Now, they all don't necessarily peak at the same volume of sales because of a couple different reasons, but how fast that ramps up really depends on a couple different things, and I want to hit on one of them. And before I hit on that, I want to talk about really where I feel that we are in this, is we're kind of in that early adopter phase. People in this room are innovators and early adopters. They're figuring out how to get these projects done, taking technology done in other parts of the world, putting together, and making projects happen. And the early adopters have a great leg up on the market if they figure it out. They can, build buildings where they're not able to be built. They're able to, reap the benefits of cycle time improvements, and they can also charge higher. It was one of the things we heard in the tour yesterday. So there's a huge benefit to being an early adopter, but it's hard to move past that into a mass market and get the whole market to move along. And one of my favorite books on this is by Moore, called Crossing the Chasm. And it talks about the leap between early adopters and the mass market. And the key thing that I think we can contribute today in the next 2 days is towards building this whole product. So there's lots of things that help you cross this chasm, but the whole product is the main one. And what that really comes down to is everything needs to be bundled up and packaged so that the average consumer can understand it and can consume that and then put that into their building. And we're on the verge of that with mass timber for sure, but there's a few things that have to happen. And think about digital music and where digital music was when you had MP3s and Napster. Really hadn't taken off until the iPad and the iPod came about, and there was a way to buy music, download it. It was seamless. Anybody could do it, and that's when digital music took off. And it's very similar. Packaging is where I see we need to do with this. So if we zoom in a little bit, look, what does our whole product need to be for mass timber? And you look at this, you've got it really isn't a product, it's more of a building system. We'll hear that a lot the next couple days, that the building system, we pull that together, and we have to be talking about all these different entities, how it gets supplied. We have a supply chain, distribution, all the way from foresters, all the way through manufacturing, developers, and contractors to build a building, architects, engineers, code officials, universities, and all the investing that has to happen to make programs to pull this together, and then associations. And of course, WoodWorks will be there to help connect the dots and help pull these projects forward and make them successful. And the good news is we pretty much have every box on here represented in this audience and at this conference. And I think through the next couple days, we can move a lot farther towards packaging up this building system, moving it forward, having conversations and connecting in a way that we can package this up. And that's what I think the next couple days are about. Thank you for being here. Appreciate all of your support. Let's get going. Thank you.